Okay, so welcome guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
I really hope you enjoyed yesterday's party. Yeah, really. I'm glad because it was quite a lot of work, to make it happen, and I think it was a great party. And tomorrow there is going to be the polo party, so I'm starting
Today.
Yeah, sorry, today. So it's going to be fun. It's like 2 hours on the Vltava River and then half hour in the harbor. So I'm really looking forward for it. So if you are not planning to go there because it's going to be amazing. So what this talk is about, actually in the beginning I planned it more conversation with guys I hope will come, but I'm really happy you are here, so at least someone I'm going to talk to. Because one thing I would like to put it out is like to talk about some topics. We are not sure how to schedule it, how to do stuff, but also the other idea of this presentation is more like there are two kind of people. Some who would like to change everything and do everything from scratch again, and one kind of people who actually does not have a clue how to write released. And it's bad because we have some deadlines and it's more like, okay, I thought it's going to happen in 1 month, I'm not ready, so it's going to be something in the middle. So the topic is from the schedule to an awesome release. Fedora 21 is going to be awesome release, I really believe in that. So you see a lot of small Fedoras flying around, it's a good sign. So the agenda today is like, I'm Jaroslav, Řezník, I'm the Fedora program manager, so I'm the guy who's responsible for all these schedules and stuff like that, and having a huge speak, and especially for you guys from QA and Anaconda, bad guy, sorry for that. So what's the overview? I'd like to start with a quick overview of where we are with Fedora 21. We hit some troubles because Fedora.next is a huge initiative. We hit a few issues, are blocking release of Fedora 21 now. I'm going to go through the schedule milestones, so I will try to explain the most important milestones, what you should do and what's expected from you as developers or packagers or whatever you are working on Fedora. Usually, one thing we very often forget about is that Fedora is not only about packaging, and Fedora is not only about development, but we have also website guides, we have marketing, we have documentation, we have all other teams working on Fedora that are really important for release, because it's nice, we have to prepare the bits, but it's not a good idea to release without websites prepared. And for websites we have 1 guy, 1.5 guys who are working almost exclusively on websites. And if you don't have the download link, nobody's going to download the new release. Same for announcements, like marketing guys. What happened once we have so-called readiness meeting, I would talk about it, and marketing guy says, okay, we are ready, no problem, we have announcement ready. Then we released, I think it was Fedora 19 beta or Fedora 18 beta, I'm not sure right now, and nothing was ready. No announcement at all. So one day after we announced, we released Fedora, I wrote an announcement. So sometimes this happens, and from that time I know I can't trust anyone, sorry, but so that's another thing. Then one question is what can we do better, and another question is what we are going to do with Fedora next. Okay, so if you read Phoronix, it's always the same. Fedora access is getting late. I told you so. We had one release that was exceptional. It was Fedora 18, and from that time, Fedora is always late. Okay, so I prepared this graph. Maybe take a look. It's not bad. There's one nice bar.
That's weeks on the
y-axis.
Yeah, that's weeks.
It was only 10 weeks.
It was only 10 weeks. Actually, yeah, 10.
We didn't have 10.
Yeah,
It was
specifically, I took a look on Federal 18 and counted in my calendar, and it's 10 weeks. It's still, and for that, F19 was also late. Wow, it was one of the best releases we have ever. It was just 1 week late, and actually almost made it on time. So, and nobody says Federal was released with just 1 week of sleep. No, it was like Federal was again late. So let's Foronix, go there if you like. So where we are with Fedora 21. It's like the Fedora 21 is the first .next release. You heard about it a lot, it's from friends, and you are going to hear about it a lot in the beginning and even in the next 2 days, 3 days here. So don't miss any Fedora next talk, because it's pretty interesting what we are doing. And one idea was, okay, so we want to restart everything from scratch. Actually, it's not that bad, but we needed some stuff to happen before we would be able to release Fedora next. One thing was, Fedora QA guys wanted some time. We wanted some time for Cascatron. Actually, it happened, so it's great. And I think there were some talks about Cascatron yesterday. So that's the one QA, because we need more automation. Before we released one, installation media, we released a few spins, but that was all. Then, cloud came. It was a bit more work, but still it was manageable. Now we are releasing a huge amount of, deliverables. All deliverables are somehow different, like server is going to release an installation media, workstation is going to release live CDs, there is cloud, there is Docker, there is Atomic and all that stuff. And it needs some automation, not only for QA, but especially for release engineering. Unfortunately, we are not yet there in release engineering with automation, but I hope it's going to change, because more people are going to join Dennis and help him. So I hope it's going to be better. So this was one thing we skipped, one release. We said we are not going to do this overkill, trying to do everything in that short window, because Fedora release is released every 6 months. But for development, like 2-3 months, and then it's more like QE and testing and trying to release it. So there is not much time to develop anything. Other delays there is like Dennis is still trying to prepare test composes, and there are a lot of issues he hit during this after Fedora 18 with Adam Williamson. We changed when we want these test composes ready, like really month before the change deadline. Unfortunately, it's already passed, a lot of time passed, and we still don't have test composes. So it's one issue we have. And also we have to skip flock, because we can't imagine releasing anything at flock. So the change deadline was moved by 3 weeks, and I will show you when it is planned. Okay, so this is the Fedora 21 schedule. So the alpha change deadline is next week. We will see how possible it is, because one thing is, after we hit change deadline, everything is much more difficult for everyone. And if you are frozen for a long time, developers, packagers, everyone starts screaming like, okay, there is that process on us, we can't do anything, and so we try to avoid being frozen for a long time. So it's better to move the change deadline if it's possible, and it's much more easier. So alpha release is going to be indeed end of this month, and beta is end of September, and currently the Fedora 21 release is scheduled for the beginning of November. We will see. I hope we will make it. So now the question is pretty often like, okay, I know Fedora has schedule. It's another thing we are still fighting. Some people would say we don't need any schedule, because it's like we would have to, we say we are going to release in November and we are not going to hit it, so we don't need schedule at all. But you know how it works if you don't have schedule, nobody is going to release anything anytime. So we need schedule. We try to be clever, so somehow. If we know we are not going to make it, especially after F18 experience, we are okay to move it. So if someone says it has to be released every 6 months, it's not true anymore. Also, there's a change process. We try to get that input from change process, get some feedback from people. Okay, so do you think you would make this change that's blocker for the next release? Because, for example, server roles, we talked to server roles guys. They said we are not going to release without server roles. So yeah, we have to come with it. It doesn't make sense. We are going to release in 1 month, for example, if they are not ready and they say it's blocker for us. So that's one thing. So you can find Fedora schedule on several places. One is, this. I'm going to open. Unfortunately, I closed it. No, it's just. Give me a second. The resolution is really bad. Yeah, it's here. So this is one page you can go to and take a look on the schedule. There's also the detailed schedule. So these are the schedules from exported from the task juggler. It's a tool we are using to create schedules. And so please, if you have any important, huge, upstream project you depend on, I'm trying to do at least a few. If you have dates, please put it to this wiki page, so feel free to edit it. As I told you, they are like this link contains or HTML exports from the task juggler. It's a tool we are using. Even the source is there, so you can take a look, how the source of the schedule looks like. If you want to send me a page, send me a page. There's also ICS, another place where you can find it. Pingu implemented ICS import. I asked him to do it in Fedora. So now Fedora calendar, you can see the whole schedule. It's still not perfect. Like I have to delete everything there and put a new schedule there if I change it. So we have to find some way how to update it. But it's probably not worth doing the work. And also there is one thing. There is this XML document. That's it's what website guys ask me. They ask me, okay, we have a few milestones on our website, and we have to manually update it when you change schedule. So now I exported this, the XML document. It's pretty easy to do it from Datajuggler, and they use the data. And now there is a script that fetches the data, and dates on the websites are all every time updated. So yeah, you can see my presentation is a bit fancy. So what I did, this is XML. So in this presentation, this live XML schedule from that XML file. So you can see it's nice. If you need dates, feel free to use this XML file. You can fetch it automatically. No need to take care. Yesterday there was another question. Okay, I have one milestone I would like to add to schedule. Happens, for example, there was one task I was asked for release engineering. Could you please add it there? I'm not sure it's you. I said, yeah, it's me. So, and I'm not sure who to talk to. Okay, so it's always me. But there's also, I created track for schedule. So if you go to Fedora hosted, there's Fedora-project-schedule, and there is a track, so you can file a ticket for me, and I'm going to update the schedule. Another question was, okay, can I send you a patch? Yes, sources are available, so you can send me a patch, but still, it's much more easier just tell me, I need this milestone or change the milestone, because the Datajuggler file is huge for Fedora, and all dependencies there are a bit crazy, so we will touch one place, it's completely broken in a few seconds. So another thing, again, it happened last week, so I'm trying, as I said, this is more practical workshop and a talk about scheduling. I was asked, okay, I missed that, you know, the Fedora, okay guys, breakfast. I have one breakfast too. So, and I was asked, like, I missed that Fedora state. I said, go ahead. And I was asked, okay, I missed the announcement. So, but I have one question for you. If you manage to see my announcement, it's usually sent to Devel announce list. It's on, of course, it's on wiki page. It's on web upload. Matthew is trying to put all schedule changes to the 5 things in Fedora. So that's very nice, overview of what happened last week in Fedora. But I still would like to make sure that it goes to everyone and everyone knows we are changing the schedule. So if you have any idea, shoot, tell me. Noriko asked me to send it to also to announce list, but the announce list has a bit different audience. So probably I would have to write a few more emails, like one for the audience, like a general user, one for developers. If you are not subscribed to the announce list, please do it. It's low traffic, usually low traffic, unless I send a lot of change proposals. Or maybe if you want it to test list or test announce list, I can do it too. So I'm looking for good places where to send it. I expect you always know it's going to be changed, but again, there's one thing we are trying to solve with this log is like how to make the communication between all the teams better, not just development, and it's one part, how to make sure it happens. Okay, so for release process, how it starts. So we just actually not release, but we are about to release the next Fedora version, but we also have to start to plan the next Fedora version. So how it starts, I file a Fesco ticket with some proposal how it should look like. I know some people are always not that happy about it, but it's the first proposal. I'm trying to put there this huge project we depend, but it's much more harder because we got a bit out of sync of, for example, with GNOME and so on. So I know Khaled has strong opinions about scheduling and make sure it fits with GNOME schedule. So that's one thing. The proposal is sent to Fesco, and then on the Fesco meeting we try to figure out what's going to be like the best date for the first time. What we are doing is we got like it's so called no earlier than, because for some time as I said, we need schedule, but we do not want to commit to that schedule because we don't know what we are going to do in next Fedora. So we established so-called no earlier than process, and after we have all changes collected, we are a bit more sure about the release. We say now it's the date we would like to commit to. So that's one difference. If you see no earlier than, it doesn't mean anything. It's just our best effort dates we would like to do it, and it is going to be later. One reason was for earlier releases we completely forgot, for example, about QA, because Fesco was okay. We don't want schedule at all. It's nonsense to have schedule. It's a bad thing. And then everyone started asking, okay, so when do we start testing? I said, I don't know, because Fesco does not want to share schedule with you. And they were like, really? We need the date. So this was like a compromise solution. We have some dates, so other teams can plan what they are going to do and when. But also we are not commitment. It's not commitment to this release. And yeah, we try to release twice a year, but we try to plan. And also there's like huge issue with holidays. We can't release anything over Christmas, for example. And especially the second part of the year is very difficult. Summer is not that bad, but Christmas or Thanksgiving, it's really a mess, so we try to avoid it. And once Fesco approves it, I'm usually sending it to that. So change process, that's another part. It actually starts right after. Actually, we would like to see folks to send proposals for changes even earlier when I actually started. So we don't have official start. Please do it. It's just more like official announcement. Let's do it. One thing is what was great, and I heard from a lot of people they like it, are the announcements of the changes to the dev announce list. So I told you it's low traffic. When I send there like 30 emails, it's not low traffic anymore. But I thought, okay, so people are going to kill me, sending so many emails to the low traffic mailing list they subscribe to. And after the first batch, we did it. I received so many emails like, thank you, that was great. I said, I was a bit worried about the amount of mails. No, thank you, because we really missed this before. So that's one thing. Now we use Bugzilla for changes management, so the proposal is done in Wiki. It's definitely not a good idea to do it in Wiki, but it's the best tool we have. But then developers knows how to use Bugzilla. There's some mapping, how to map, the status, like the changes ready to Bugzilla statuses, and it's much more easier to manage it. For me, it's much more easier to ping people when it's not done, because I just click once in Bugzilla, I have a query, so it's much more easier for me. But as I said, it's still not very nice. So at HotCon APEC, we talked about the change proposal application. There were two guys who volunteered. Okay, I want to write an application for you. I said, thank you guys, it's great. So it was, I think, Ankur and Roberto. And so we tried to figure out what should be there. And we had very nice list of tasks that has to happen. And from that time, I have not heard from them anymore, because the requirements are huge. It's easy thing, but if you take a look on everything you need there, it's like a huge list on Wiki, what should be done, and it's definitely not an easy thing. So Wiki is not good. I have quite a lot of, I would say, I'm not saying ugly scripts, because I got it from Linux, so sorry, I'm not saying it's ugly, but it helps. But it helps a lot, but if you have to do a lot of stuff via the scripts, it's a lot of manual work, and sometimes something is forgotten and so on. It's definitely great help for me, so thank you for that, but still a lot of manual work. You probably know we have the system-wide changes and self-contained changes. That's another thing. I fight with Fesco, because Fesco wanted all changes to land one day. For system-wide changes, it makes sense. It's something that changes system defaults. It's probably other packages are depends on that. On the other hand, self-contained changes could be just, I want a new programming language nobody is going to use anymore or anytime, and I want it in Fedora, and I want some marketing for it. I don't see a reason why it should be, announced or approved by specific date that's, really very early before actually release. We changed that, so I won this fight. It's great, and now you can submit your self-contained proposals, changes by the deadline, the beta change deadline. So it's one thing. It's great. Now I'd like to go through. Actually, so it seems like the resolution is really very low here. So there are what happens before alpha. We hit alpha. So where's the change proposal submission deadline? As I said, it's only for system-wide changes now. I think it gives much more flexibility for people who wants to work on niche packages, on programming languages, and so on. So, but for system-wide changes, it's definitely what we need that day, because we try to plan based on these system-wide changes. Sometimes it's not easy to go to Fesco and say this is self-contained change, because they are too clever sometimes, too much, and they say it's not self-contained page, I don't like it, but they have a right to do it. Also, what we added this time to the schedule is the master build and side tech builds deadline, because previously those master build was like, everyone knew it's going to happen, but nobody knew when. And if you don't know when the master build is going to happen, it makes stuff a lot hard, much more harder for many people, especially with engineering, because it should be ready. Then there is a so-called change freeze. It's officially like the planning and development end, because we have these two phases like in one phase. I don't know why, but it's probably from historical reasons, because we need it for the planning phases for other scheduling work. And then, so at change phase, the change should be testable in that state that, we can try to test it. It's not 100% complete, but it should be testable. Then, important milestone is, branching Fedora from rawhide. Every time there are questions. My package is not signed after the branch. When body is going to be enabled, so it's not enabled at this time, and so don't worry if it's not. So this is one thing, and it's going to be enabled at alpha change freeze deadline. Okay, so for alpha, when we hit alpha, the most important thing, as I said, we are waiting for, and this maybe will cause delays for Fedora 21, are the first test composes. We really, after the F18 experience, we want them early, as early as possible, and you probably know why. So that's one thing. So it's because it's causing very often delays. If, for example, you have 2 weeks before the first test compose was like 2 weeks before the alpha change deadline, and it was too late because you had, for example, F18 Anaconda, which didn't work at all the time, and a lot of stuff was broken too, and now you created test compose. First test compose was broken, second was broken, third was broken, and after 2 weeks we had the first really usable test compose. It was still broken, and it was too late for everything. So we try to do it as early as possible. So what is enabled, alpha change deadline, and there's a software string freeze. That's one thing we try to sort out with Noriko, how to do it the better way, because it's still not done sometimes, and we need more to think about it. And then there are two important meetings. One is so-called alpha readiness meeting, then it's beta, and final readiness meeting, and go, no-go meeting. So these meetings happen first day, week before the release. The readiness meeting is not like readiness when we say no, we are not going to release it, but it's like all teams from Fedora came to this meeting I lead. And it's more like, is marketing ready? Yes, we have announcement. Sometimes I lie from the time I check it. Is our websites okay? Okay, websites are okay, just give me downloading. It's like, is Fesco okay with this release? Yeah, Fesco engineering is okay with this release. It's not something we say no, but it's more like to synchronize and make sure stuff happens to the next Tuesday. On the other hand, go, no-go meeting is really a meeting. We say go or no-go. It's from, go, no-go is done by QA engineering and release engineering. We should change it and add me there too, because still, if we are not ready in readiness meeting, probably we should stop even the go, no-go decision if we have bits ready. But still we try to make sure it happens. So this happens on Thursdays, week before release. Then, that time is the fun for QA guys. There are so-called blocker bugs and freeze exceptions. So if you have a blocker bug, you can go to the very nice application Timfring wrote. It's really amazing thing that helped us a lot. I think everyone, because previously it was mess what is blocker or not. You can see the proposed blockers, you can see accepted blockers, there are also like freeze exceptions. So if you didn't make something before the deadline, you have to ask for a freeze exception if you need it in compose. So we can ask for freeze exception. It was known as nice to have before, but now it's really freeze exception. It doesn't make sense to propose freeze exception now because we are in the frozen, but people like it. And also it's much more easier, just go here. Actually I'm not logged in, but if you log in, it's really very simple to propose the new blocker bug. Okay. And we just create bug, put the bug ID, and see this blocker for which milestones. But also the justification is needed, but I think QA had a session yesterday to say what they are doing during the release, so they are much more better to say what we are. So you can see we are like alpha and beta and final release criteria. If you have a bug, please take a look on the release criteria. If you have a bug that fits these release criteria, please send us a blocker. It's much more easier to know about blockers earlier than later. You can see these are all requirements. It has to be okay for alpha, the same for beta, and the same for final. Okay, so alpha release happens on Tuesdays. Historically, it was 10 a.m. Eastern. We tried to move it to UTC, so I'm really going to do Fedora 21 in UTC, because especially for us European folks, we are always like waiting, okay, is it going to happen at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m.? Then there are some folks in the US, they don't have summertime, so they have also different time to Eastern Coast, and it's causing a lot of troubles. So
it will be only, does the time change, or it will be still at 6 or no?
Well, it's 10 a.m. in the US, but in Europe it could be,
it will be
3 or
still the same time.
no, it is not the same time, because there are
it will be at 10 a.m. UTC.
Okay.
No.
No, it's not going to 10 a.m. UTC. It's probably going to be 3 p.m.
It was about
2 p.m.
UTC.
Yeah, 2 p.m. UTC.
Okay.
And that's another thing. People usually came to me and said, okay, I don't want to fix this blocker bug now because I have a lot of time, because you are going to release on Tuesday, next Tuesday. But we definitely need this 1 week, because the final RC should be in idle world ready 1 week before we release. And I had some issues with a few folks that came and said, okay, you are going to release next week, you have 1 week to finish this blocker bug. I said, I'm sorry, we don't have the time, because we really need the RC today. So that's one thing I would like to ask you to consider.
Jaroslav, it's probably connecting to the document, to the announcement piece, because when you're announcing deadlines to development, you should be announcing freezes, not GAs. That's informative.
Yeah, freezes are announced. We are both. Like
There should be more emphasis on the freeze than a GA date, or
what we did now with that 3 week slips. It was that alpha is going to be slipped by 3 weeks was not that important message. The most important message was that alpha change deadline is moved by 3 weeks. So this is the most important message. But there is some time between the change deadline and release. And I don't know how to communicate that, we don't have time by that release. And as you know, we are not announcing RC compose, because we never know when the RC compose is going to happen. Maybe I can add something like, this is real RC deadline on Tuesday. We made it on, I don't know, with RC on Wednesday, but it's really too late, and then it means nobody sleeps at all. So maybe that's like, we are not going to have RC in the schedule, but we are going to have RC deadline in the schedule. Could be a solution. So for beta, it's really very similar. We have a beta change deadline, and we have beta release. That's another thing people ask me and propose is like, okay, so if we are going to delay F21, please cut, for example, 1 week from from alpha release to beta change deadline. When you receive, if you are going to be program manager after me, you will receive a task jabber file, and John Forrester wrote a great description of the schedule. And there is one thing: never ever try to shorter this time. It's not going to help. It's going to actually be worse. We tried it once, and I understand it now, because it's really required time that has to be there in the schedule. We can extend it. Even it's not a good idea, because when we had long froze, we frozen for a long time. But it's really, these 3 weeks are really important. And also there is like accepted changes 100% completeness. So all changes has to be complete this date. If these are not complete, then the contingency plan is started. Because so these 2 dates are the same date. Because otherwise we would have to. For final release, where is like the final change line and Fedora 21 final release, it's not important for developers anymore, because you should not touch Fedora too much at the time. Please don't. Okay, so another huge discussion half year ago, or maybe a bit more, was how to do the end of life process. I think the most important thing is that we are honest. We can't fix all bugs, because after that, Fedora is end of life, I'm going to send an announcement like, please take a look if these bugs are still valid. If yes, change the version to that version is still valid, and otherwise all other bugs are being closed. And some people has problem with this, like we can't close it, because folks who reported bug a long time ago are not going to report another bug if we close them. But on the other hand, the Bugzilla with open bugs would be huge, so we have to do something. And I think it's honest from us to say, sorry, we don't have the resources, we don't have the time to fix every single bug. You can reopen it, but okay, so that before previously there was like it was cloned. If you say clone to, for example, kernel developers, they hate that word. It was like, please change from cloning. Like we ask people, if it's still valid, please clone it to the new version. I think it's most valid solution. So we said, no, please reopen it after it's closed. But we hit an issue that standard users could not reopen the bug because they didn't have rights to do that. So, and there were more like issues of this. So in the end, we have a new procedure. We told the Bugzilla guys, so there's going to be a new status, closed EOL status, that everyone would have the rights to reopen this bug. That's one important thing. And also, let's disclose the EOL, gives us more opportunities to create statistics and take a look what was really EOL'd. On the other hand, I still think it's not enough, and for example, every time I do disclosure, I try to take a look at a few bugs from that, several thousand bugs, and sometimes it's really sad. You see there is a bug report, very nice bug report, there is patch attached. It's waiting for a maintainer to apply this patch, and sometimes I try to be not bad guy to close this bug, and I do manually change it to the new version, but it's really sad. It's really easy fix with patch attached, and I have to close it because I can't go through 8,000 bugs by one bug. So it's one thing. This is like some statistics of how many bugs were closed for each release. I don't have data for F5, F15, but it's about 6,000 to 8,000 bugs that are being closed every time you do end of life. It's quite a lot, but I don't think we have a better way. So, last thing for elections. Initially, elections were in the main schedule, but it was not the nice thing to do it in the start juggler, so I'm now doing it just manually on the wiki page. We had so-called supplementary elections, summer 2014 elections this summer, because a few FESCO members stepped out from FESCO, and initially the replacement process is like if someone steps down from FESCO, folks who were not elected in the previous elections are going to step into their place. This time, 3 people stepped out from FESCO, and we had no other option than other elections. And I think you can take a look on this ticket. We are going to do it in the future too. So more elections, but I think it's more fair and more work for me. Okay, so last thing is for federal next. I would say from scheduling perspective it's still unknown, because one thing is, do we want to do all product releases in sync at the same time? FESCO already decided we don't have resources for that. We can't do it right now. But we still hope that in the future we will probably have more resources, some automation will work, and we could decouple releases. Now we don't have resources, we don't have time, we don't have an automation in place to release. One release for us, 2 releases per year are too much for us. Now it's really huge overhead. And now imagine releasing like cloud image every month, because cloud guys would like to see. Release, workstation, I don't know what the plans are there, every 6 months, and release server every 1 year, because it's server, then it's probably going not to be in sync, but more or less, because as I said, for example, if server product has blocker, they said we are not going to release without this feature. It's blocking workstation, it's blocking cloud. Now we don't have any other option. In future, with more automation, more QA, more release engineering automation, we will be probably able to say, okay, we are going to release server later than other products. So it's still another question. Also, there is a question of very little updates, especially for cloud image, and then like the atomic thing, we would need very little updates, and we would probably need some QA again. So QA means okay. So that's the reason. Peter is looking at me like I'm going to kill you with my eyes, laser eyes. So the same for it was I don't know, a year ago that batch updates by spot. Like every month we would release nice batch of updates, but we don't have resources. If we say QA guys, okay, you are not going to test only 6 months a year, but 12. Again, I see that laser eye. So that's another thing. We definitely need automation in place, and with ongoing work on task control, and I hope with release engineering work we would make it soon. So that's all from me. As I said, I really hope I gave you some quick explanation of some milestones. Like these are the frequently asked questions I got every single time. Also, one thing I forgot is there's usually the question when the milestone happens. A lot of people think, for example, change deadline is in effect the end of the day, but unfortunately it's not true, and usually it is the beginning of the day. It's something like, so if you see Tuesday, it's not Tuesday late afternoon or night, but it's in the morning. It's one thing that's really confusing, but again, historical reasons.
Wouldn't it be clearer to then write in the calendar that the change deadline is 1 day earlier and freeze at the same time like right now still?
Or maybe exact time and date.
maybe exact time would be probably better. It's something I talked to Dennis, and he said, well, I'm going to do it in the early morning.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's
so-
fine, except
Yeah, it is fine, just
different.
it's really confusing. And also, something is happening in the morning, but there are other milestones that happen early in the midnight. So that's one thing I would like to take a look to make it more consistent at least. So Dennis, I told Dennis, okay, so we should make it consistent. He said, yes, do it consistent with me. So, it's Dennis, so...
Yeah, well, if you want to do it Tuesday morning, then the calendar should probably just say that the freeze is in Monday.
Yeah, but it's, when it breaks like that thing, it's week after, because, release is then going to be in the middle of the day. But it's, I'll take a look on that. We have to at least write exact time in UTC. So that's one thing we can change. For example, the last elections we did the problem because Bingo revoked the election application and he had a bug there. So instead of in the morning elections end in the midnight. So we had one more day because the time in Python was okay, but he was showing completely different time in the election application. So now this is one thing I really like to have consistent. If it means we are going to schedule one day earlier, I'm okay with that. If it means I somehow convince Dennis to do it the right day, in the end of the day, we would do it that day. So, but it's good. Yeah, so okay. Any other question or schedule? Or any volunteer who would like to do schedule instead of me? Okay, so thank you very much for coming in.
I thought it was only for the slide. The end of slide